Welcome to the Countries for Kids podcast from Case of Adventure. I'm Karyn and I'm so excited that you're listening today. I'm going to be reading from A Clash of Swords in Scotland from our Scotland Adventure book. To find out more, go to caseofadventure.com. Chapter 11, Kelpies and a King. The final day of the Northern Scotland tour dawned bright and sunny. Dad returned Jake's crutches to the hospital before the family left Inverness. Jake was able to limp around quite effectively by that time. The group planned to visit Blair Castle on their way back to Edinburgh. The castle was 3 hours away near Pitlochry, where Janet's parents, Ken and Bev Murray, were from. The castle was one that Mom especially wanted to visit, as it was the castle of Janet's ancestors. Blair Castle was known as the ancient seat of the Dukes and Earls of Atholl. The current clan chief and Duke of Atholl is Bruce Murray, who resides in South Africa. His position is only subordinate to the Archbishop of Canterbury and, of course, the royal family. Blair Castle looked pristine, with its white walls and black turrets and towers. The Atholl Highlander pipe band was playing outside the castle when they arrived. The children were delighted to be able to watch them. Dad read to them from the information pamphlet once the pipers had stopped playing. Originally a medieval castle and a military fortress, then a grand Georgian mansion and a Victorian manor. On display are souvenirs of the Murray clan that have been collected by the family over many generations. They walked into the high-ceilinged entrance hall, which was decorated with paintings and deer antlers displayed on the walls. There were battle axes and shields from wars of the past, including a shield from the Battle of Culloden and firearms used by British soldiers. "Look, this is from Culloden," Rome showed Dad the shield. "It's cool that we were just there." The magnificent Victorian staircase had larger-than-life paintings of the various dukes and their families. A guide took them on a tour of the grand bedrooms of the house, explaining what period the furniture was from and who would have slept in each. In one bedroom he showed a bed where all 18 children of a duke had slept on one bed, heads in the centre, feet to the outside. "Imagine sleeping in a bed with so many others," said Wren. "That's crazy," Jake told them. "I hardly have space for me in my bed." The drawing room was resplendent, with its crimson walls reflected in the ornate mirrors. Wren pictured it lit up by hundreds of flickering candles. The white marble chimney-piece showcased a painting of a duke and duchess playing outside with their 7 children. A swan swam on the pond, and a ring-tailed lemur played in a tree with one of the boys. The lemur was the family's pet and was kept in a cage on a window ledge near one of the bedrooms, the guide told them. "Lemurs are from Madagascar," exclaimed Libby, who was fascinated with that island. "I wonder how it got to Scotland." Mom was pleased with a scarf that she bought with the Murray tartan on it in the castle gift shop. Libby bought a keychain with a picture of the castle on it. After a 2-hour drive, the family was very glad to arrive back at Castle Street Guest House and to see Ken and Bev, who had been minding the place for the Sinclairs. At the same time, they were sad to say goodbye to Donnie, who had become a good friend. Each of the children gave him a hug, while Mom and Dad shook hands and thanked him for all he had invested to make their tour a special one. Uncle Alistair and Aunt Shauna clapped him on the back and added their thanks. Donnie looked around at the forlorn faces of the children. "Perhaps I'll have to visit ye all in your country soon." "Yes, please do," Libby grabbed his hand. "Then this is not a final goodbye because we'll see each other again," Rome told him gruffly. "That's good." "Thanks for listening to all me nonsense," Donnie joked with them by putting on an extreme Scottish accent. The children laughed and waved goodbye wildly as he drove off, then traipsed upstairs to unpack and rest. A short while later, the family sat down for dinner with Ken and Bev and excitedly told them all about their visit to Blair Castle and about Inverness, Loch Ness, and Glasgow. There was so much to tell that it couldn't possibly be done all at one dinner, so Mom promised they could continue at breakfast the next morning. The next day, the children were desperate to return to Weems Castle to investigate the cellars and search for Jacobite symbols and clues to the location of the missing dirk. Much had changed since the wedding. Sadly, Sir Angus had passed away during the previous week. Ian and Janet had come home a day early from their honeymoon, but had not got home in time to see him. They were very sad at the loss, and it was a difficult time for them, with a whirlwind of arrangements to be made. Ian was to be sworn in as clan chief, but wanted a couple of days to mourn his father before the ceremony. "I'm sorry, darlings," said Mom, "but I spoke to Janet on the phone. Sadly, Ian's father, Sir Angus, has died. They are arranging the funeral, so we won't be able to see them yet. They have invited us to the clan chief ceremony at the castle on Wednesday and to the lunch beforehand. You can chat to Ian then, but they have lots to take care of now, so we'll have to be patient until Wednesday." Sunday was spent attending a nearby church service and then relaxing and reading. Aunt Shauna found a walking stick for Jake to use when he needed it, as his ankle was still painful at times. On Monday, they visited the Royal Yacht Britannia at the ocean terminal in Edinburgh. The magnificent ship had served the Queen and the United Kingdom for over 40 years. The children were interested to explore the luxurious ship and staterooms. A tour guide wearing a beret with the Royal Navy insignia on it came to welcome them. He spoke to them about the history of the ship before showing them the way on board. "Take a look at the Lego replica of the Royal Yacht," he said, pointing at the 11-foot model displayed nearby. "Wow, that's huge," exclaimed Rome. "It must have taken a ton of Lego bricks." "It's bigger than me," Jake stretched out his arms sideways. Ren laughed. "Bigger than two of you." There were displays about the history of royal yachts and photographs of Britannia's fascinating past. "It says here that Sir Winston Churchill and Nelson Mandela have travelled as guests on this yacht," Ren told the others. The family enjoyed an audio handset tour of the 5 decks of the Royal Yacht, including the state apartments, royal bedrooms, and the sun lounge. They sampled life below deck, the crew quarters, and the engine room. The last part of the tour was the children's favourite, as they all had a chance to work the yacht's controls. On Tuesday, Aunt Shauna packed a picnic for the Gray family and sent them off to explore some areas south of Edinburgh. Dad drove them down to the town of Falkirk to see the Falkirk wheel. "It's the world's only rotating boat lift," Dad told them. "It connects the Forth and Clyde and Union Canals." When they arrived at the Falkirk wheel, they joined a tour group and paid for a boat ride along the canal. The children hurried over to the railing overlooking the Forth and Clyde Canal, where they had a clear view of the wheel in motion. A large signboard displayed photos of the original locks and the new machine. The tour guide explained, "The Falkirk wheel was created to replace the 11 locks that originally connected the 2 canals. Back then, it took a day to get through the 11 locks. This magnificent wheel takes only a few minutes. It's made of steel with 2 giant caissons, each capable of carrying 4 boats at a time. The wheel cost £85 million and took many years to complete." The wheel's gondolas rotated, lifting the boats 30 meters up into the air. The machine was amazingly quiet and fascinating to watch. The family boarded a boat at the visitor center and settled in for the journey. The boat was spacious with large windows. "I hope we don't tip out." Libby was slightly apprehensive. Don't worry, we won't. Wren pointed to the boat that was going through ahead of them. They do it 100 times a day. Jake laughed. If we tip out, we could have a swim in the canal. Yes, Libby liked that idea. That would be fun, especially if the wheel made waves in the water. You guys stay right here, please, Mom admonished them. No swimming necessary. It felt like a ride at a fun park to be in a boat which was lifted into the air. The view from the top of the wheel was spectacular. While on the boat, they watched a video about the history of the two canals. They learned that the wheel carried over 600 tons of water at a time and could support 8 boats. Back at the visitor center, they paid a visit to the gift shop and the play area, where there were interesting interactive mechanisms to explore. So, Dad looked at the children, grinning as if he had a surprise up his sleeve. Who would like to try zorbing? The children stared at him with uncertain interest. What's zorbing? Asked Jake. Dad pointed behind them at the lake where giant plastic inflatable balls were rolling around on it with people inside them. Oh, it's when you roll inside a ball on the water. Wren was keen to try. It must feel really strange. Rome and Jake agreed to join her. They bought tickets and after a bit of instruction were zipped in. It was hard to get the balls moving, but with some encouragement from Dad, they were all able to roll themselves over and over on the water, spending more time on their backs in hysterical laughter than actually moving. All 3 said they loved the experience, and Jake put it quite aptly when he said, "That was the weirdest thing we've ever done." That's all for now. See you next time.